just an intermission of one of the streams we're doing here. If you want to watch me live, make sure to go to twitch.tv/WhatAboutAmeobi. I'm always streaming on Mondays at 1 Eastern, and then usually Wednesday and Friday, although it depends on the week. Anyways, what I'm looking at today is I did a video about a week ago asking the question about whether it was fair for newer designers trying to design courses in PGA Tour 2K21. And now I want to look at, kind of suggested that it is fair. And then if established designers get a bit of the benefit of the doubt, the reason they get it is they've earned it, sort of. And so now I wanted to look at how do you become an established designer then? Because I don't think it's fair to just be like, well, yeah, sorry about your luck, you're not an established designer. I think we need to look at how you become one, right? So we've got chat here. I'm sure they'll chime in. You should be able to see them up on the screen there. And I've just got a few things written down that I just thought I would go through. And so, I mean, for me, the first step and the most important step probably in becoming an established designer is mastering the fundamentals of golf design. When you look at what a Matty from Canada, a B101, a Crazy Canuck 1985, Matta 27, I guess this is, Victory Lane Sports, Mayday 91283. Alrighty. Any of those guys, you look at and on and on and on. Anybody who was in Dream Team or World Cup or any of those guys, if you look at the courses that they create, the fundamentals are done super well. Their sculpting is on point, their surfacing is done right, their shading, their lighting, it's all very cohesive, and it all works together, and it looks like a golf course. It looks like the kind of thing you would see outside, right? And so I'm kind of saying build better golf courses, yeah, but mastering the fundamentals is the first start, or is the start in that. And so that's where you go to a guy like Crazy Canuck 1985's tutorials. I'm just pulling that up now because just thought about it. So if we go over to the main screen here, if we look at Crazy Canuck, right, first thing, course design 101. If you go through these tutorials here, excuse me, you're gonna find that a lot of the issues that designers have, they're dealt with in these tutorials, and in showing you how to get started, how to create greens, how to create fairways and rough, how to create tees and the sight lines and water and cards, all this stuff, right? And this is I mean, you can call it basics or you can call it fundamentals. I prefer fundamentals. So that would be my first place I would go to. The second place I would go to is this guy. B101 design. We don't need to hear you talk. And then we've got our whole design tutorial series. So, oh, thanks for the sub there, Frederick. Appreciate that. So right there, you've got a ton of content that you can access that's going to help you create better. It's going to help you get the fundamentals down. It's going to help you with strategy. It's going to help you figure out how to create good golf courses, right? And so, to me, that's the one thing you want to be doing. Matty from Canada, Golf Club Atlas. Yeah, that'd be cool too. Go look at courses out there. Fried Egg's another one. So to me, there are so many courses out there, so many resources out there. I'm a big believer that there's never been an easier time to build a good golf course in a video game. But it's also, there's never been a harder time to stand out. And what I mean by that is there's so many resources available to people to get them started, to be able to then make good golf courses. But there's so many people now that can make great golf courses. And that's kind of your issue, right? But you got to start with your fundamentals. You got to start by making good golf courses. There's not a established designer that exists that does not make good golf courses. If you don't make good golf courses, you will never be an established designer. Second thing I would look at is create a vision and find your target audience. So what kind of golf courses are you trying to create? Are you trying to create tournament courses that are going to be used on TGCTours? Are you trying to create fantasy courses that maybe Apex Hound would play in his fantasy course of the week kind of thing? Is there a particular society you're a part of and you want to have your course in that? Is it a course you're creating for buddies and you guys are just going to smack it around, right? Whatever it is, decide on what kind of courses you want to build and then find your target audience. So find the people that are going to want to play the course that you want to play, or that you want to design, sorry. And yeah, there's some great points coming in here. You do need to study and invest hours, depending on the kind of courses you're creating. But yeah, you got to find where are the people that want to play the kind of course that you want to create. One of the biggest mistakes I see with people submitting courses to TGCTours is they submit them for the wrong reason. They submit them thinking that if my course gets accepted to the TGCTours database, I'm going to get a ton of plays. No, you're not. There's how many thousand courses in that database now? 2,000-3,000? Something like that. Being in the database by itself is not going to get you more plays. And so when you're submitting a fantasy course to a community that has stated they're looking for tournament courses that are more, you know, kind of realistic, then you're probably not doing the right thing. So what I'd be looking at is, and this is true of any community. There's Reddit out there, there's Facebook, TGCTours. You're gonna have to do some research to find out all these places. But if we go to the TGCTours website and we look at completed courses right there, the first post is course database guidelines. So you get a video that Ben created, B101, for how to get your course approved, which is basically here's how not to, here's what not to do. But then here are your requirements. So total par in there, this stuff. They don't do 9 holes. Your course is a RCR, real course recreation. It needs to be very accurate. The playability, the pins, the aesthetics. They give you an idea of what they're looking for, right? And there's so many courses that I see that are submitted that don't come close to any of this. So you haven't even bothered reading this. It's right here. So it's there, right? And if you're looking at another community, then look at what they have. Look at what it is that they're looking for. But submitting your course to a community that isn't a fit for that community and then arguing about why it's not being approved isn't going to do you any good. Okay? So find your target audience, create your vision. The next step, seek and embrace feedback. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by embrace feedback? Basically, I mean when somebody gives you feedback, say thank you. And don't argue with them. Now, what I don't mean is just take everything everybody says and use it. To me, embracing feedback is listening to all of it and then going, okay, what part of this do I agree with? And what part of it do I not? And then take the part that you agree with and use it. And the part you don't agree with, don't use it. Because there are a bunch of opinions out there and golf design is subjective. So there are going to be times where two established designers might completely disagree on something. You might have a feedback from 2 established designers where one guy says do this, the other guy says do this. Ultimately, it's your course. You need to do what works for you. But for both guys, you need to be saying, thank you, I appreciate that. And then you need to go ahead and use it, and you need to seek it. And so how can you seek feedback? Well, if you're going through TGCTours, TGCTours has a work in progress folder. What are these things called? Under construction area. So you could go in here, you could post your work in progress, ask people for feedback. You could reach out to people in this community, send them a private message, ask them for feedback. You could ask somebody that is streaming or does YouTube videos if they'll play your course. But you can ask, right? Put it out there and say, hey guys, I want to get better at design, and ask a bunch of people if they'll have a look at your course and give you feedback on it. And then when you get the feedback, accept it and say thank you, and then think about it. Don't just react. One of the things that I see a lot when people ask for feedback is they ask for feedback, and what they want is they want me to tell them their course is good. And when I'm saying, well, this here I don't really love, or I would have done this differently, then they start explaining to me why it's done that way. That's not accepting feedback. That's defending your course. When you're getting feedback, you shouldn't be defending your course. You should just be listening. And if there's questions asked where I go, well, I'm curious, what was your thinking here? Or were you thinking about doing this? Was this your goal here? Then yeah, it was. Oh, okay, cool. But you know, constantly basically arguing with the person giving feedback, all that's going to do is make them not want to give you feedback. All right. And it's going to also make them not really want to play your courses, because they're going to be like, nah, this guy's a pain in the ass. I don't want to deal with him. So seek and embrace feedback. I'm gonna really regret saying this, but I've always decided that anybody who asks me to play their course, I'll play it, because I know how difficult it has been in the past for people to get exposure. And I'm not a big streamer by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not close to big, but I have enough of an audience and enough designers that come into the stream that people do seem to get some really good information from them. And I've had a bunch of designers tell me months later that their course that just got tour worthy, or that was just on tour, a lot, they attribute some of that to the feedback they got from having me play their course. So I appreciate that feedback. Thank you. But but it's you did the work. But no, the thing is yeah, when you can get that kind of feedback. So again, I'm gonna regret saying this, but if you ask me, I'll play it, right? Probably on stream. I don't really play courses off stream, although maybe I'll start just doing YouTube videos. I don't know. But I'm not gonna promise I'm playing all 18, because if I can see fairly early on, here are the issues you need to work on, then if we get to a point where a bunch of people are asking, we might have to change. Fourth thing, take it easy on the objects. Oh, and the other thing about seeking and embracing feedback, watch people doing playthroughs of other courses. Yeah, offer to play other courses, engage with others too. So don't just take, have it be a two-way street. Give and take, right? Help people, they help you. Be a part of the community, whatever that community is. Again, Facebook, Reddit, TGCTours, whatever. Be part of that community. Don't just be taking. Offer to give too. Fourth thing, take it easy on objects. I think if you're starting out, you should not bother with tournament objects, waterfalls, island greens, cars, cart paths, carts, windmills, planes, hot air balloons. Basically all of the fun stuff. Focus on making good golf courses. There are so many new designer courses that have waterfalls for no reason whatsoever. They just don't exist. Like, they just don't make sense, sorry. They don't make sense to be there. And then the person's like, oh, this is cool. I'm going to put a waterfall in, and then I'm going to put these wind turbines in. Yeah, make a boring course. Make a course. Focus on the fundamentals at first. Focus on being able to create a good, solid playing golf course. And then start easing stuff into it where you can start making the environment better. There's so many people that design courses and you'd think they're playing, was it SimCity? What's that game I'm thinking of? Where you're basically just building a city. And then there's skyscrapers and all that other stuff, monorails. Although certainly OC is always allowed to do monorails. Whatever that game is. Anyways, they forget it's a golf. They forget it's a golf game and we're playing golf on it, right? So focus. Yeah, take it easy on the objects. Focus on the golf. Focus on the shots. Focus on the view from behind the player, the framing and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's gonna be really helpful. I think a lot of people spend too much time on off-course stuff when on-course stuff is where they need to be focusing their time. And then the last thing I'm gonna say is market yourself in your courses. There's a few ways you can do this. I mean, Twitter is a great way. The forums at TGCTours or Facebook or Reddit is another way. But let people know your course exists. Put it out there. Tell people it's out there. The other thing I would highly recommend is if you're gonna start posting in multiple places, have your name be the same everywhere, right? So if you look at me, my Twitch name is WhatAboutAmeobi. My Twitter handle is WhatAboutAmeobi. My YouTube channel is WhatAboutAmeobi. my name in the forum is WhatAboutAmeobi. You kind of get in the sense here. It's WhatAboutAmeobi everywhere, and you will always see a magpie. That's my thing. It's simple. It's a brand. It's a brand, but it's a super simple brand that a useless artist like I can't do art at all, but somebody like me can figure out. Anybody can create a brand. It's not hard. But have a name and just focus on it, and have that be your name everywhere, so people know who you are. So who have I got here? Matty from Canada is Matty from Canada everywhere that I can see him. He's Matty from Canada in the forums. He's Matty from Canada on Twitter. He's Matty from Canada in here. He's Matty from Canada, right? Axel, Viking, same thing. So be a dick to everyone. Yeah, that I'm not sure I would. Not sure I would do that, but Matty's being silly. But yeah, have that consistent name. Some maybe kind of little symbol or something like my magpie, or some kind of little logo or whatever works for you. But then yeah, put it out there. Let people know your course exists. Again, just, you know, if people don't know who you are, why are they going to play your course? The thing that'll happen is as you create more courses and as your courses get better, RJ Wills 30 just put a course out. The entire world's going to stop because we got to go play RJ Wills' course. We have to, because we know his courses are amazing. How do we know that? Because he's consistently been creating good courses and we know who he is. So I think using Twitter and social media can be really helpful. The other thing I'll tell you that I'll suggest about social media, particularly Twitter, create a new account for your video game stuff. So I've seen a bunch of people use like it's their personal account, it's their video game. Nah, separate it. Have your personal account be your personal account. Have your Twitter, your video game account, your designing account, whatever, video game, have that be that, right? I think that then gives you a little bit more, and then focus when you're posting to your video game account, focus on the video game stuff. Don't tell me what you're having for dinner. I don't care. Tell me what you're doing in the game, right? Just focus your attention on that. And so a little bit of marketing there. I think if you're able to do these things, you can get to the point where you can be an established designer. I'm going to go back to the beginning though. Your course needs to be good. You have to make good courses, otherwise you will never be an established designer. And this is the last point I'm going to make, and it's an uncomfortable one. Not everybody's going to be good at course design. Not everybody's going to be willing to put the time into it that they need to be as good as the guys that you guys see play our courses play on tour every week. And that's okay. Accept it, right? If you're not good enough, you're not good enough. I'm not good enough to design. I don't design because of it. I'm like, I have no interest in sucking at designing. I don't find it enjoyable. I just decided I'm not going to bother designing. And there isn't a week that goes by that I stream and somebody doesn't say, hey, you should design. And I go, no, I really shouldn't. I hate it. I tried it. I didn't like it. Okay. But understand that, I mean, we live in this society of participation trophies and all this stuff. And I don't mean to be the old man yelling at the sky, but not everybody's going to be a great designer. So what you really ultimately should be doing is when you're designing, you should be designing for yourself. You should be designing courses that you want to design, that work for you, that you enjoy designing. You should be doing it as a fun thing to take you away from the stresses of the world, not add more to it. And you should be just enjoying it. And if you suck, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. If you want to just create a course for you and your friends to slap it around while you're having a few beers, great. But just accept that that's where you are, okay? It's very rare, almost never, that a whole group of people are wrong and one person is right. So there's been myriad people come into TGCTours telling everybody in TGCTours that they're wrong. TGCTours is wrong and that person is right. Not one of them has managed to change the mind of TGCTours doing it. So don't bother, okay? So hopefully you found that helpful. If you have, make sure to hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe. It really does help the channel. Feel free to add any comments or questions you have down below. But for now, I'm going to say cheers. I'm going to get back to playing some golf courses here on Twitch. Thanks, guys.